Success is very relative. Knowledge or learning is a process. And if I'm waiting for that perfect moment may never come. And maybe the perfect moment is now. There are a lot of mistakes I made in my career, probably because I did not speak to mentors on time. You never know. Sometimes your mentors can be from just the most unexpected walk of life. It need not be from your own field or your own profession. It could just be somebody whose perspective might just blow your mind. So never be afraid to sort of reach out to people who are completely unrelated to what you're doing.
For those stuck in the corporate rat race, do you ever wonder when is the right time to take the leap? And letting go of the safety net when you are a much sought after legal professional at a partner level to take the decision of being an entrepreneur isn't an easy one. Where do you find the right entrepreneurs? What are some expensive mistakes you can avoid in this entrepreneurial journey? This and a lot more comes up in my conversation today with my guest on CXO Talks, Pooja Chatterjee. Pooja holds a master's in energy law and policy from the University of Dundee. And from being a principal associate with Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas to now as a partner with Desai and Diwanji, her insights in this conversation will really leave you stunned. Now, let's hear what this CXO talks. So, I have to say this before I thank you for coming here on CXO Talks, Pooja. The fact that whenever I think of a lawyer, I first think a Harvey Specter. Unfortunate as it is. And despite the fact that there were so many other characters in that whole series, yet is the case with most people that, when you think of a CXO, a C-suite person, a lawyer, an entrepreneur, you mostly end up thinking a certain kind of persona. Yet I have you who has taken her own journey to be a partner in a very known firm and to now beginning all by yourself. Give me a little insight into your journey. When did it begin? And transitioning from where you began to being a partner to now being a legal entrepreneur. How did this unfold for you?
Well, I started my career as this associate in an LPO, which is like a legal process outsourcing. I have always been very adventurous in everything that I do, always taking a contrarian approach. So I started my career in an LPO, and then I moved on to doing masters in energy law. And then I decided, hey, let me come back to India, because India is this land of opportunities because of the chaos and because of all the developments that were happening at that point of time. I thought, why not just, instead of wanting to work in a developed country where everything was pretty sorted, everything is pretty established, I wanted to do something which has not been tried and tested. I wanted to come back to India and be an energy lawyer. So I joined again in a law firm in Mumbai. I joined as an associate, despite having passed out in 2008 and spent 3 years after that working and doing various things. I restarted my career as an associate in 2012. And I tried my hand in financing. I tried my hand in corporate M&A. I did a variety of stuff until I decided that, okay, I have learned enough. And now I want to do something of my own. I want to be a partner. Yeah. And that journey taking that decision was pretty difficult for me at that point of time, because I thought I had no clients. I'm working, I'm executing, I'm pretty successful in doing work that's been given to me, a fish that's being served to me on a plate. I know how to cook it. I know how to eat it. But do I know how to catch the fish? And I wanted to find that out on my own. So I left my previous firm, which gave me a very comfortable, very cushy environment. Everything was well protected, and I decided to be a partner and start this journey of building my own practice. And I can say that I feel like I'm a startup founder myself, because while you have been successful executing work in the past, whatever work that has been given to you in the past, to kind of now come back to a point where you have to see whether can you replicate that success. Can you do it on your own without having a branded firm, without having that kind of leverage. You have to get in clients just on your personal brand, just on marketing yourself, selling yourself, almost to say, whether you can replicate the success of the past. So it's been a pretty interesting journey for me in the past couple of months, figuring that out for myself. And it's been a great learning curve.
Yeah. And I'm sure it is because as an entrepreneur myself, I can totally understand what you're mentioning. And I know for a fact that for a lot of our audience, they'll relate to this fact as well, that being an entrepreneur, there's so much you learn on this journey, and the learning curve is massive. And really glad that you're here on CXO Talks today on that note.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
So tell me this, Pooja, the fact that there's so many people who are still in corporates, men, women alike, and yet, after a certain point in time, a lot of people start feeling that there's no value, or they're not finding that purpose or that excitement with which they possibly joined and when they started out. But after many years, now they want to figure out कि यार, it's not worth it. Maybe I should take a dive, and maybe I should begin my entrepreneurial stint, but are dabbling with that idea because there's a safety net, right? To let go of the safety net is a very difficult decision to make. How were you able to take that decision?
So I've seen my friends in law firms do that. They have actually. It's interesting when once they hit the age, once they have spent about 6-7 years in the profession, they decide that this is it. They want to do something else. Some want to be bakers. Some want to start painting. Some want to take up a profession which is completely different from what they're doing at the moment. I have been pretty passionate about energy law. I know whenever I say it people always get fascinated by what I say. That how can somebody be fascinated or passionate about energy? But here I am. So when I was as a principal associate, when I was working in Amarchand, Cyril Amarchand, there came a point of time in during work where I realized that I have there will never be a point where you know everything. You're always learning. Every day when you wake up, there's always something new to learn. And if I am waiting, because in my mind, I probably wasn't sure whether I am worthy of it, I am deserving of it. Maybe I always compared myself to brilliant partners who were at that time my bosses. And I thought that, hey, when I reach their level, maybe then I should be made partner. But then success is very relative. Um, Knowledge or learning is a process. And if I'm waiting for that perfect moment may never come. And maybe the perfect moment is now. Maybe it is better to just sort of like, instead of standing at the edge of the cliff and wondering if you fall or you fly. I know it sounds so cliched and out of Instagram, but it is true, because I was standing at the edge of the cliff. I kept trying to kid myself in thinking that, okay, you know what? I don't know this part of law. I don't know that part of law. I am not ready. I think I need to do more. I think I need to learn more to give value to my clients. But then I realized that when each time I took up a matter, I realized that, hey, I can do this on my own. I am able to execute it on my own. I am being too hard on myself and I am ready. So it's been a journey for me, even within myself, to kind of realize that you are ready, Pooja. There's not need to be like a dhol, like a barat coming to you and saying that, Pooja, come on, you're ready to start your legal entrepreneurial journey. This is it, you are ready. And when internally, when I made peace with the fact that yes, I am, that's when opportunities started showing up. I know it sounds very uh, woo-woo, very law of attraction and manifestation domain, but it is true, because when internally I decided that yes, you know what, I am ready, I want to be a partner, opportunities started showing up. I started getting calls from recruiters saying that, you know what, people are looking for partners. People are okay that if you don't have this big black book of clients, you just need to go out there and just work hard. It's not, I think in our mind we always have these boxes that we need to tick before we believe we have achieved something, but it's just excuses. It is just excuses. Sometimes you just need to hit the ground running, and the road will come up, the road will show up. And that's why I identify myself a lot with, I love founders, I love startups, I love being part of the startup community, because I feel of myself as a startup myself, and I always keep, whenever I meet people in this in this community, I end up learning a lot from them. I end up drawing a lot of inspiration from them.
I'm sure. Also, when you started out on that conversation where you said that, you're standing at that cliff, right? And then there's a moment where you're like, I won't know unless I take that dive. I won't know whether I'm falling or whether I'm going to take a flight. This is exactly the thing that I said to somebody who I was working with when I started my first entrepreneurial stint, that, what, I want to move out. And he was pretty against the idea. Like, what, you need more experience, all of that, this jazz and that jazz. And I was like, what, I wouldn't know whether I'll fly or fall unless I take that dive. So I was reminded of that, as cliche as it is. But
No, but as a child, I've always, ever since I was a child, I've always, I can be emotional about things, but I'm also, once I set my mind, once I decide to do something, I do it. So my parents have been incredibly supportive of my journey. They are not typical parents who have said that, अरे अभी वक्त आ गया, शादी कर ले, शादी क्यों नहीं कर रही. I mean, yes, they have also done all of that, not saying they haven't, but they have been incredibly supportive of my journey. So, but when I was a kid, my father had told me that, are you sure you want to be a lawyer? Because there's going to be a glass ceiling there. They, as in the men, may not let you sit at the table. And as a child, I did not know the significance of that statement, but I thought it's glass, right? So you can break a glass. I mean, it can be broken. So when I became partner, I went back and had that conversation with my father. Obviously, he didn't remember having said this to me. But I told him that this is what I set out to do. It has taken me a while to become a partner, because I had my own internal journey that I needed to make peace with, and then reach here. But I am now a partner. And as women, I always find myself telling the same thing to other women, other girls out there, that you need to first believe in yourself, because then it does, the outside noise or anybody else telling you that, it doesn't matter. Their doubts, their negative energy will not matter, as long as you have complete faith in your journey. As long as you know what you are doing, nobody can take that away from you.
what I loved about the fact that how you are really now striving towards, not just as an entrepreneur, it's easy to just go at looking at the problem and start working towards it, start finding opportunities. But three things that you really pointed out that made a lot of sense was the fact that it's a lot about perseverance. It's about staying at it. It's not, nothing comes easy, right? And how you nurtured your relationships. I love that perspective on not just networking for the sake of networking or because you get to know or are told often that your network is your net worth. So, not taking it in a transactional manner, but really nurturing it and maybe having those no agenda conversations where you're just getting a deep insight into this person or reaching out to your managing partner where you asked for feedback
Yeah.
or to speaking to your clients. So I think that's a lot of things that a lot of entrepreneurs early on miss out on. So those were some great takeaways.
And also, you never know. Sometimes your mentors can be from just the most unexpected walk of life. They're just like they couldn't. It need not be from your own field or your own profession. It could just be somebody whose perspective might just blow your mind. So never be afraid to sort of reach out to people who are completely unrelated to what you're doing.
It reminds me of a web series on Netflix called Queen's Gambit.
Oh yeah, I love that
It's
one.
not a movie or a series on chess. It's a series on finding mentors in
Yes.
your life's journey, which can come
Yes.
from any walk of life. And I remember this girl finding a mentor in the janitor
Yeah.
of her of the place where she was staying at.
Yeah.
So you know what you just said made so much sense that your mentors can actually come from any place, any walk of life. Also, on that note, you speak to so many startups. You know, while you are a legal entrepreneur now, you have consulted or spoken to so many startups who you continue to give the legal professional advice to. And I'll tell you one thing, Pooja, when I started off as an entrepreneur, the first time I didn't know who to reach out to, I hadn't nurtured my relationship. Thankfully, now I'm in a place where I have nurtured quite a few relationships, and I go back to every now and then who I call as my inner board of advisor. My personal board of advisors, as I call them. And
I'm going to steal that line from you.
yeah, I stole that from somebody. I don't know who did I steal it from. So um, I know that my parent, like my father used to say this, कि life में ना डॉक्टर लॉयर और अकाउंटेंट अच्छे होने चाहिए ठीक है this is one thing that he used to say because these are skills and the kind of professional advice that you need from each of these is something that can change your life and has a very important impact, has a very significant impact in your life decisions when you come to consult them. Now, as an entrepreneur, I know I have early on in my journey of building Vine also taken wrong legal advice. And I know the impact that it has created. Coming to that, when you speak to a lot of startups, entrepreneurs, business owners, even CXOs for that matter, what are some things, if I was to ask you three things that you'd say are a big no, don't do this, what would be those?
Um, I don't know if I should be saying this, but I often jokingly tell the people I meet that don't hire lawyers.
Ooh, coming from a lawyer.
No, but of course it's a joke. The reason I say this because obviously they are startup founders. I know how and I know how expensive lawyers can be. So it's obviously I'm just I say it with I mean I'm being candid with them, but three things that they should definitely have a good hand over is having good legal advice. Need not be as a lawyer on board, but have someone they trust. Can be a mentor, can be their own board of advisors. good legal advice, because I've often seen that later on, when they seek formal sources of funding, during the due diligence process, they get a lot of shocks that they haven't done their compliance checks, they haven't done their audits, they haven't done their filings correctly, they have tax penalties that they need to kind of deal with. Instead of getting to a point where they have to deal with the mess, I like being the lawyer which kind of helps people to avoid getting in that mess in the first place, avoid getting into litigation. Like, prevention is better than cure. So I always tell them that, depending on the business that they are in, if they are in a drones business, for example, and they have a manufacturing facility, I will tell them that, hey, please get the ABC consultants on board to check whether you have your licenses in place. If there is somebody who's in consumer products business, I will tell them that, hey, make sure you speak to a tax advisor and a lawyer who can help you with the structuring of your operations or structuring of your business. So it obviously depends who I'm speaking to. But it's very, very important that even before, even if it's 2, 3, 4 years down the line, they start having those conversations early on, so that the mistakes are not expensive. It's very important to have good, like you said, good accountants,
Yeah.
good company secretaries. I would even add
Yeah.
that company secretaries on board. You need your reports and filings done on time. Yeah, you have good lawyers on board, at least as advisors, who can help you before you start on the journey. Definitely.
So the question should certainly have been that, as an entrepreneur, how can entrepreneurs avoid making expensive mistakes? And that was the answer then.
Yes.
Interesting. And if I was to ask you what are some expensive mistakes that you have made in your personal professional journey, I'd love to know that for sure.
I spend a lot on clothes. I like I like looking like the female version of Harvey Specter.
Uh-huh.
Okay, like, jokes apart, yes. I expensive mistakes would be not not checking again. There are a lot of mistakes I made in my career, probably because I did not speak to mentors on time, and I ended up choosing certain jobs or choosing certain roles which I thought would be adventurous, because at that point of time, I mean, I wanted to try everything out. I didn't want to follow a very conventional path to partnership. I wanted to experience it all. But in hindsight, when I look back, it probably, if somebody would have just uh, told me to, like, the path I should be taking, maybe I would have avoided those mistakes. I don't know. But I actually, you know what? I don't regret any of those. I think they make me who I am. Yeah, now that I am thinking about it, as I speak to you, I think I can be a better mentor to startup founders. Okay, a better mentor to anyone, not just startup founders, because of the mistakes I've made, whether it is expensive, whether it is not so expensive. I think it gives that whole well-rounded personality of mine. I can tell them that these are the things I've done, or I have experienced that, so I can probably help people. I can help them navigate their journey better. So I can't really think of any expensive mistakes.
Good to know that. And I think this is where you draw that perspective that, in hindsight, everything is, you find there's reason to everything. And, and, and it makes you feel much more wholesome and in a place where you can mentor people. You know that your experiences have had some value and some reason because they're at least helping somebody from that journey.
At that point of time, I may have cried. I may have hated working 24 hours a day, sleep deprived. I have done all of that, and I have hated it, and I have wanted the work life balance, and I would have and I've asked for everything and everything from the universe. But now that I look back, I am glad I went through it all. I am glad because I learned so much. Um, uh, I mean, at that point of time, you can probably feel that it gives you anxiety. It gives you all of these things, but you need to go through that. You need to experience it. You cannot live. You cannot be a true entrepreneur. Again, I'm using that word. You cannot be an entrepreneur unless you have really gone through uh, the the tough parts of life.
I would completely agree to that, and also reminds me of um, I I don't know who's the person who said this. Some professor, I don't know, from Stanford or somewhere, but one professor who says that entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted.
Oh my God, yes. I would say that's applicable even to as partner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all the same. I feel even as partners, we are entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
We are going out there, we are building a business, we are building a practice. So it's definitely not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah. And on that note, I'm also reminded of one of the episodes. In fact, the first one that I did for CXO Talks was with Padmini Rathore Singh, who's the CEO of DSK Legal. And she talked about the mental health of legal professionals. You know how, because of the amount of information to things that you are packed with throughout your time as a legal professional, and now that you're a legal entrepreneur, it's all the more different because I would love your insight. Instead of making a statement, let me ask you this: that do you think that as a legal professional and now a legal entrepreneur, mental health is something that is a cause of concern?
Uh, I feel there's a lot more, or I've seen that there's a lot more awareness about mental health issues, even amongst the legal professionals and law firms. Uh, but honestly, I mean, this is often this is a topic that it's very hotly debated between me and even some of my friends and some of my ex-colleagues, whether when you if you're going through a mental health issue, whether it is triggered because of the work or the pressure that you're going through at that moment, whether it would be appropriate to disclose it to your boss or your HR that you are going through this issue, uh, and how it would be perceived. So honestly, I don't have an answer to that because it's a very very sensitive topic. Per se, I always believe that my juniors or my teammates should be absolutely honest with me if they are going through anything, whether it is because of the work or whether it is things at home. It could be anything, right? They could have had a breakup. They could have had something that happened to them in their childhood, and that for some reason is now triggered. You never know. I would like that junior or that teammate to come and be honest with me about it, because then I can provide them the help that they need, whether it is by stepping up and helping them with their work, which means staff, getting somebody else to do that work, or doing it myself or something else. Because if we don't look out for each other, then what is the point of it all? And the reason I say this because one of my friends, one of my very close friends, faced this particular issue at her workplace, where one of her juniors was basically struggling with her workload because of something she was dealing with. And they all, their entire team beautifully stepped up and got the work done. I was expecting that girl to probably be fired, or probably be put on as like a sabbatical, unpaid sabbatical or something like that. But they all stepped up. They all put in some extra hours. It was painful. I could see my friend struggling because of the extra hours that she was putting in. But now that girl, that junior, is doing so well because she had that support from her people, and she is blooming. She's just doing so well. So I have seen both sides. I've seen people being thrown on the wayside, people being thrown on the road where they're like, okay, you know what? There's no space for mental health issues. Like, you just got to like deal with it. I've also seen people really help their teams and colleagues. So mental health is issues are here to, like, it is like in any other profession. There are going to be those issues. It's just about how people around you really give you that kind of support. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's a topic that's very close to my heart, and I am never quite sure how to on what stand to take on that.
Yeah. Because the only reason I got this conversation going between us was the conversation that I'd had with Padmini, and I got reminded of that
Yeah.
since she also is a legal entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And this came up for me. And on that note, I would also think that as somebody who's had an interesting journey thus far and now stepping into the shoes of an entrepreneur, there are certainly ways you keep yourself sane. What do you do to keep yourself sane amidst all the chaos?
Oh my God. I'm reminded of my ex-boss because I had a very interesting a conversation with her on the same topic. Okay, this is like 2 years ago, and this is an ex-boss that I initially hated because she used to like scream at me all the time, and I used to sit and cry because she used to scream so much at me. And then we became really good friends later on in life. She became one of my closest friends, and she inspired me so much because she introduced me to painting. That was her way of keeping her sanity. Yoga, Pilates, painting. I have tile painted. I gotten like rocks and stones and whatnot, thrown them at her, joking that what, you can use this whenever you're mad at me at work. You can just use these thrones as throw these stones at me, but basically paint on those stones. So for me, sanity, to maintain my sanity, I have stolen these ideas from her. I do the same thing. I sometimes paint, I dance, I am also into gaming. That's not too many people in my life know that. I do everything at that moment which inspires me, like to kind of take the pressures away from the job and bring joy into my life. I dabble with a lot of things, but I will say the credit of of having that outlet, that to kind of all the pressures of the job and doing something apart from just law. And the credit for that goes to my ex-boss.
Very interesting that you paint, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs who actually get into painting. And one of them is also Ghazal Alag, who's the co-founder of Mama Earth. She's into painting. I myself am into painting once in a while, not as frequently, but my thing is meditation. My thing is going for runs and walks. But yeah, I think those things to just break away everything else around you, cancel all the noise, I
That's
think
it.
is very important. And painting is a beautiful way to do it and to create something.
I'm too restless to meditate, but meditation is also something that gives me a lot of peace. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. And we are now at a part where we come to the CXO show ritual, CXO Talks ritual, which is we ask you the question from the last CXO.
Okay.
And then we will also give you the honor to leave a question and drop a question for the next CXO who will be there on CXO Talks.
Okay.
So, with that, I will open up the question that I have from the last CXO, which was Kankshi Agarwal, who's the founder and CEO of Netri Foundation. Her question to you is, would you be the next unicorn?
Yes.
Ah.
I don't know whether the immediate next,
Yeah.
but I do aspire
Yeah.
to be one.
That's massive. And I can't wait for that to happen.
Yes. Oh my God. So now I have to think of a question for the
Next CXO, now
next
it's your
CXO.
turn.
Oh my God. It may not be a very glamorous question,
Doesn't matter.
but this is one question that I keep asking everyone and myself repeatedly. If life gave you a do-over, like, if there was a genie and you could like start like everything with a clean slate, would you do all of it the same way? Would you change anything? Is there anything that you would like to do differently? Or would you like, or are you at peace with all of the decisions that you have taken?
I have to tell you, that's a very profound and a very beautiful question.
Thanks. I wanted it to be meaningful.
It is. It indeed is. And, that's what I tell every CXO as we conclude, that the question that you drop for the next CXO is also a question that I answer for myself. Of course, in my head, not on the mic. But yes, with that, it's been a lovely conversation, Pooja. And I do know and believe that you will be a unicorn in the making sooner than later.
Thank you. Thanks so
And
much.
to the impact that you're creating, kudos to that.
Thank you.
And may you continue and nurture many more lives, build many more lives.
Thank you.
And with that, thank you so much for being on CXO Talks again.
Thank you so much for having me here. This was wonderful.
It was.
Thank you.